If you find yourself waking up once, twice, or even 3 times every single night to use the bathroom, you've likely been told it's just part of getting older. Maybe you've resigned yourself to it, keeping a pair of slippers by the bed and trying to memorize the path to the hallway in the dark. But what if I told you that your body isn't just aging? It's trying to send you a very specific, urgent signal. Most people think nighttime bathroom trips are strictly about the bladder. They think it's a prostate issue or maybe just a weaker bladder muscle. While those things can play a part, they are often just the symptoms, not the root cause. In my years of clinical practice, I've seen this pattern over and over. When we treat the bladder in isolation, we often miss the real fire burning in the background. There is a direct physiological link between your sleep cycle and your cardiovascular system that is rarely talked about in the doctor's office. If you ignore this, you aren't just losing sleep, you are potentially ignoring a red flag from your heart and your metabolism that could be addressed right now. But here is where it gets interesting. Some of the solutions you might be trying, like cutting out water after 5 p.m. or taking certain supplements, might actually be making the underlying problem worse. In this video, we are going to pull back the curtain on why your body is dumping fluid in the middle of the night. We'll look at the hidden drivers, the research you haven't heard, and the actionable steps you can take starting tonight to reclaim your rest and protect your long-term health. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is the piece of the puzzle that most people are completely missing. I want to be clear. I am not suggesting that every nighttime bathroom trip is a sign of a major medical emergency. However, after decades of helping seniors navigate their health, I've learned to listen closely when the body changes its rhythm. When I talk about nocturia, the medical term for waking up to urinate, I'm talking about a shift in your internal balance. Think of it like this. Your body is an incredibly sophisticated machine. During the day, it manages fluid, pressure, and hormones with remarkable precision. But when you lie down to sleep, that machinery should shift into a recovery mode. When that shift fails, when the machinery decides it needs to offload fluid in the dead of night, it is usually because something has interrupted the signals that tell your kidneys to hold on to water while you rest. Sometimes it's a simple shift in hormone production, like antidiuretic hormone levels dropping off. Other times it's related to how your heart pumps blood or how your body processes sugar. The point is, there is always a reason. And the most common mistake I see is patients focusing on the frequency rather than the reason. Quick favor before we go further. Drop your city, state, or country in the comments. When I see where people are watching from, it helps me tailor the advice for what you're dealing with where you live. I read everyone, and it really helps me understand the who behind the why. Now, stay with me, because the way your heart communicates with your kidneys while you sleep is something most doctors simply don't have the time to explain in a 10-minute visit, and understanding it is the first step toward getting your uninterrupted sleep back. To understand what's really happening, imagine your body as a high-tech plumbing system. During the day, gravity is your biggest challenge. When you walk, stand, or sit, blood and fluids naturally pool in your lower extremities. Your heart has to work against that downward pull to keep circulation moving. Your kidneys, tucked safely in your mid-back, work alongside your heart to manage blood pressure and volume. It's a delicate, non-stop balancing act. Now picture what happens the moment you lie down to go to sleep. Suddenly, gravity is no longer pulling everything toward your feet. All that fluid that was trapped in your legs throughout the day, often appearing as subtle swelling around your ankles, is now liberated. It travels back into your bloodstream. For a healthy system, this is fine. Your body simply reabsorbs it, and you continue sleeping. But for many, this fluid shift is the moment of truth. If your heart is working a little too hard, or if your blood vessels aren't as elastic as they used to be, your system senses this sudden surge of fluid as pressure. Your brain receives a signal. We have too much volume. To protect your heart, it triggers an immediate response. It tells your kidneys to filter that extra fluid out. Fast. That is why you wake up. Your body is essentially trying to bleed off pressure that it can't handle while you're horizontal. It's a protective mechanism gone wrong. It's not that your bladder is small, it's that your circulation is signaling a state of overload. And if we don't address the reason why that fluid is accumulating in your legs in the first place, or why your heart is struggling to manage that midnight surge, The trips to the bathroom will continue, regardless of how little you drink before bed. We are going to look at the heart's role in this next. Now let's connect those dots. When we talk about cardiovascular health in our 60s and beyond, we often focus only on things like chest pain or shortness of breath. But your heart is the master regulator of your fluid status, and nighttime urination is often a silent indicator of its performance. If your heart has even a slight decrease in its pumping efficiency, what we might call stiffness or mild diastolic dysfunction, it can't handle that sudden influx of fluid from your legs at night as gracefully as it used to. Instead of circulating that fluid smoothly, your heart essentially says, "I can't process this extra volume efficiently right now." This triggers a release of something called atrial natriuretic peptide, or ANP. Think of ANP as your body's emergency pressure release valve. It's a hormone that tells your kidneys to dump salt and water immediately. This is why you feel that sudden, urgent need to go. You aren't waking up to go. Your body is waking you up because it has dumped a pint of fluid into your bladder in a matter of minutes. This is exactly why heart health and nocturnal bathroom trips are so deeply linked. If you have any degree of hypertension, or if your arteries have become less flexible over the years, the problem is compounded. Your heart is already working harder than it should to push blood through those tighter vessels. When you add that midnight fluid shift to an already strained system, the pressure release mechanism becomes hyperactive. It's crucial to understand that this isn't just about a heart condition in the scary hospital admission sense. It's about the subtle, day-to-day efficiency of your circulation. If you often feel tired during the day, or if you notice your socks leave deep indentations on your ankles in the evening, these are clues. Your body is telling you that gravity is winning the battle against your circulation during the day, and your heart is paying the price for it at night. This isn't a reason for panic, it's a reason for better data. By stabilizing your blood pressure and improving your endothelial function, the health of your vessel linings, you actually calm that emergency valve response. And when that valve stays closed, you stay asleep. I want to stop right here and challenge a piece of advice you have almost certainly received. Just stop drinking water at 5 p.m. It sounds logical, right? If you don't put water in, you won't have to take it out. But in my years of experience, I've watched countless patients adopt this rule only to find that it fails them miserably. Here is the truth. Dehydration is actually a trigger for your kidneys to become less efficient. When you chronically restrict your fluids, your blood becomes more concentrated. This increases the burden on your heart and can actually raise your blood pressure, which, as we just discussed, leads to that pressure release mechanism firing off even faster once you lie down. By cutting off your water, you're often just making your blood thicker and your heart work harder. But there is a much more shocking insight that most people miss. Have you ever noticed that you seem to pee more on days when you are particularly stressed? That is because stress, or what we call chronic sympathetic nervous system activation, is a massive driver of nocturia. When your body is stuck in fight or flight mode, your body releases hormones like cortisol and norepinephrine. These hormones tell your kidneys to prioritize fluid excretion, essentially preparing you to be lighter to run away from a threat. Even if you are just sitting in your favorite chair, if your nervous system is on high alert, your kidneys are getting the signal to dump fluid. So you might be blaming your water intake when the real culprit is a nervous system that hasn't learned how to shift into rest and digest mode. This goes against everything we think we know about bladders, doesn't it? Most people are looking for a pill to shrink the prostate or calm the bladder, when they actually need to calm the brain and the stress response that is driving the whole system. If we're going to address this, we have to talk about what's landing on your dinner plate. You see, the food you eat in the hours leading up to bedtime doesn't just sit in your stomach. It fundamentally alters your blood chemistry for the entire night. Many of the foods we assume are heart-healthy or just normal dinner fare are secretly working against your sleep cycle by triggering fluid retention or spiking your insulin. Let's talk about salt. We know salt increases thirst, but in a senior system, it does something much more specific. It pulls fluid into your bloodstream and keeps it there. If you have a high-sodium dinner, perhaps a canned soup, a processed deli meat sandwich, or even a healthy frozen meal, your kidneys are going to be working overtime at 2 a.m. to process that excess salt. They have to move that salt into your urine, and they take water along with it. It's a guaranteed ticket to a midnight wake-up call. Then there's the insulin spike effect. Many seniors reach for something like a piece of fruit or a small bowl of crackers before bed, thinking it's a light snack. However, if that snack causes a rapid spike in your blood sugar, your body releases insulin. Here is the mechanism. Insulin actually tells your kidneys to retain sodium. And as we just discussed, where sodium goes, water follows. So you've essentially created a perfect storm. You've spiked your insulin, which told your kidneys to hold on to salt, which is now dragging water into your blood, and your heart is now sensing a volume overload that it has to offload while you're trying to sleep. This is why, instead of just counting bathroom trips, I tell my patients to look at their evening routine. Are you eating your largest, saltiest meal right before the sun goes down? Are you snacking on refined carbohydrates late in the evening? The goal here isn't to starve yourself, it's to shift your heavy nutrient intake to earlier in the day when your body is more active and better equipped to handle the metabolic load. By keeping your blood sugar stable in the evening, you stop that insulin-sodium-water chain reaction, and you give your kidneys a chance to rest along with the rest of you. It is easy to feel like these symptoms are just a personal failing or a quirk of aging, but the medical literature tells a much more structured story. A fascinating study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society looked into the relationship between sleep-disordered breathing, specifically conditions like obstructive sleep apnea, and the frequency of nighttime urination. What they found was striking. Many people who suffer from chronic nocturia actually have undiagnosed sleep apnea. When you stop breathing for even a few seconds during the night, your body perceives it as a life-threatening emergency. Your chest creates a massive amount of negative pressure, which forces your heart to work violently hard to pull blood back toward the lungs. This intense mechanical stress on the heart triggers that same hormone, ANP, we talked about earlier, acting as a distress signal to the kidneys. The study revealed that for a significant subset of the population, the bladder problem was actually a breathing problem in disguise. Another piece of compelling research from the archives of internal medicine highlighted how essential the circadian rhythm of our kidneys truly is. In younger, healthier subjects, the kidneys have a clear night mode where they concentrate urine and reduce output by nearly 50% compared to daytime. The study demonstrated that as we age, this rhythm flattens out. But, and this is the vital part, researchers found that physical activity levels, specifically moderate aerobic movement, helped resynchronize this rhythm. This suggests that our kidneys are not just passive filters, they are biological clocks. When we are sedentary, that internal clock stops ticking correctly. By incorporating consistent, moderate movement, we aren't just working out, we are literally resetting the internal rhythm of our organs, telling them it is time to slow down, concentrate, and let us sleep. This is why the fix is so often found in lifestyle alignment, rather than just another medication. It's about giving your body the environmental cues it needs to remember that nighttime is for rest, not for filtration. So how do we turn this information into a better night of sleep starting tonight? We aren't going to look for a magic bullet. We are looking for a strategic shift. First, let's talk about that fluid management. Instead of stopping all liquids early, aim to have your largest intake of water and herbal tea before 4 p.m. By front-loading your hydration, you allow your body to process the bulk of that fluid while you are still upright and moving, letting gravity help your circulation rather than fight against it. Second, consider the elevated recovery technique. About an hour before you get into bed, try lying on your sofa with your legs slightly elevated, above heart level, for about 15 to 20 minutes. This helps the fluid that has been sitting in your lower legs all day make its way back into your circulation while you are still alert. Then, when you stand up to get ready for bed, your body can process that shift of fluid before you ever lay down for the night. This often prevents that sudden midnight surge that triggers the kidneys to wake you up. Third, look at your evening ritual. If you are a fan of that late evening snack, I want you to experiment with a protein-first approach. Instead of crackers or fruit, try a small handful of walnuts or a slice of turkey. Protein doesn't trigger the same rapid insulin spike that refined carbohydrates do, which means you avoid that insulin-sodium retention cycle we discussed. And finally, address your environment. If you feel like your heart is racing when you wake up, don't just jump out of bed. Take 3 minutes to do simple, deep, rhythmic breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. This isn't just relaxation. It is a direct physiological signal to your nervous system to switch from fight or flight back into rest and digest. By doing this, you are telling your kidneys that the emergency is over, which can help you get back to sleep much faster if you do find yourself awake. Now remember, these changes don't need to be perfect to be effective. As I often tell my patients, a nutrition and lifestyle plan that you can maintain for the long haul is infinitely more valuable than a perfect plan that you give up on in 2 weeks. Start with just one of these shifts, perhaps the leg elevation technique or the evening protein swap, and see how your body responds over the next few nights. You may be surprised at how quickly your system learns to regulate itself once you stop working against its natural, healthy rhythms. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It helps this channel grow, and it ensures you won't miss the upcoming deep dives where we'll explore more of these silent signals your body is trying to communicate. My goal is to make sure you have the tools you need to take control of your health with confidence and clarity, rather than just guessing at symptoms. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. It's a privilege to walk this path with you. Now take these steps, be patient with your progress, and get the rest you truly deserve tonight. I'll see you in the next video.